Hey guys, how y'all doing today? My name is Franchise Fanatic and welcome back to the channel. And for you guys, this is another LEGO Ninjago video. I haven't done a Ninjago video in quite a long time, but I figured, hey, you know what, I'll do one again. I'm Franchise Fanatic when it comes to most franchises, not all, but most, I like to think so. I am a Ninjago YouTuber, even though I'm not uber on that. But I recently got to watch Ninjago Season 11, the Fire Chapter and the Ice Chapter. So this is going to be kind of a spoiler review and discussion about that, which it's about 2 years old now, so if you haven't seen it and you call yourself a Ninjago fan, watch it. I haven't friggin' seen it since, because you know me, I'm just nefarious and random circumstances, but I finally got to see it. And I'm also going to be discussing Ninjago 2022, so keep an eye out for that. If you want to see more Ninjago content, if you want me to review certain seasons or talk about different things, or different kind of plot points that are in the show, leave me a comment down below, and we'll, I'll see if I can do a specific Ninjago video for that question or concern or whatever. So yeah, so regarding the Fire Chapter and the Ice Chapter, I'm going to kind of view that in, Ninjago Season 1 to 10 is Ninjago Masters of Spinjitzu, right? And then this one, Season 11, Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu, Fire Chapter and Ice Chapter is kind of Ninjago, right? There's no Masters of Spinjitzu, it's just Ninjago. Cartoon Network and different branding and different, Netflix, they're going to call it Season 1, but it really is Season 11. It's all in the same lore. It's all in the same canon, same universe. Now, Ninjago Season 1 to 10 is my favorite, pretty much of anything ever. Even better than the Skywalker Saga. You guys freaking know all Star Wars is good, but Ninjago is something special. And I think the good balance for Season 1 to 10 is that they have a lot of action and a lot of plot and a lot of intensity. Because in my opinion, Ninjago is not a kid show, it's an animated show for, I would say, like I said in this other video, I said maybe 11 to up, 11 till you're dead. Not 4, not 5, not something weird like that. I would say 11, but again, that's just me. But, and then of course, sprinkled throughout Season 1 to 10, you do have a little bit of, comedy and kind of, light humor. Kind of like the MCU. The MCU is very much like, look at Iron Man 3, Captain America Civil War, Ant-Man, stuff like that. Thor 2 even. It's very much an action franchise, but they have some funny things in there. And then you get to Ninjago Season 11, which is, yes, in my opinion, a step down from 1 to 10, but it is by no means horrible. Now, the way I can basically say Ninjago Season 11, Fire and Ice Chapter, is basically the MCU, Ant-Man 1, Ant-Man 2, Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, Thor Ragnarok, stuff like that. Those movies are more centered around comedy and more funny and comedic elements than, say, Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3, Thor 1, Thor 2, stuff like that, Captain America 2, Avengers Endgame, stuff like that. That is what this is. Now, this is going to tie into the Ninjago 22 thing, but give me a second here. So basically, I'm going to kind of tackle the Fire Chapter first. Now, I did watch the Fire Chapter first. Of course, you have to. It comes before the Ice Chapter. And, hot off the heels of Season 10, I read online, oh, it sucks, it's horrible, it blows, Ninjago's got really kiddie, really stupid, it sucks. And I was like, oh man, this is going to blow. But I freaking loved it, It is good, but, is it as good as Season 1 to 10? No, I'd say that Season 11 is as good as Season 7, Hands of Time, but better than Day of the Departed. Day of the Departed, in my opinion, is still my least favorite part about Ninjago. Not horrible, but it's just my least favorite and probably the worst in my eyes. But, Fire Chapter, the worst thing about it is the lack of direction. Yes, they got a new animation company. Don't look bad. Looks pretty good. I think that they kind of have a little bit of anime inspire. Of course, in the Ice Chapter, they do have literal anime segments where they kind of, talk about specific things. And they're not Lego, Like, you actually see, like, Simpson characters, yellow skin people, but they're animated humans, not Lego minifigures with the claw hands. And that's kind of cool. But again, Fire Chapter, really, Will Film did 1 to 10, and I think Animal Logic or someone new is doing the new animation. And it's not bad. I think it's pretty good, actually. The way that, when they fight, like, it's kind of more, not as, I was worried it was going to be less intense, but it actually isn't. It's if anything, more intense, because they're flipping around and they're waving, and when people get hit with a stick, it's not like, ugh, it's like, push, it's like getting hit in the head with a friggin' stick. You're going to go flying, you know what I mean? And they amplify that more in the Ice Chapter. But, the Fire Chapter animation's good. The action is very good. I think that when Lloyd and Asphira, the Snake Witch, they're kind of fighting in the museum, there's a lot of great fights in there, and I think that it's a really good Really good combat in there. Now, I've heard a lot of complaints that the Fire Chapter doesn't really know its direction. Yes, they brought back Clutch Powers. Yes, they have all these things, but really when you think about it, there's a few episodes that people call quote-unquote filler. And filler essentially means stuff that isn't necessarily appropriate or fitting to the overall narrative or tone or story, plot, whatever you want to call it. And look, they're not bad, but it's just the way that they're handled, Like, there's a specific scene, I think, where the ninja are, like, trapped in a pyramid. Asphyr traps him and steals Kai's elemental firepower and starts wreaking havoc on the city. And Antonia and Nelson from Season 6, he's a little older now, and I get what they were trying to do. They were trying to flesh out more characters that aren't just the main ninja. What's Nelson up to? What is he? What's his impact? Because we only saw him in Season 6 for like 2 minutes. But this now he's a paper boy, and with Antonia, they're paper boys, and probably throw a fit. She's a girl. Get out of here. But I do think that whole element of him trying to kind of deliver the newspaper is really cool. We're essentially seeing into the mind of Nelson through his perspective, through paper route, and then Antonia's like, look, we deliver, it's like stores, we always deliver. And then when Clutch Powers, again, another element going into that, says, hey, the ninja are in trouble, they're in Egypt, or the Desert of Doom, and they're effed up, we need help. And Nelson's like, we gotta tell Master Wu, and Tony's like, no, F that, we gotta deliver the news. And Nelson's like, this is the news, so they travel to the monastery, and one of my favorite things about this episode is when they open the door, Master Wu, to us, we know who Master Wu is, but to Nelson, who's like 10, 11, he kind of sees Master Wu as like this badass hero, and he is, but this incredibly stone warrior, well, not stone cold kind of warrior, and when he opens the door, the way the shot is handled, it's very much, he opens it and he's like, like he's very kind of menacing looking, and Nelson's like, oh my god, and then as soon as he mentions the ninja in trouble, he goes, what? Where are they? And it's just like, oh, that's Master, so it's a really good element in there that they really captured. So as far as filler, I wouldn't necessarily call them filler, because they do overall, kind of tend to the plot. There is one episode that is probably one of my least favorite episodes in all of this freaking show, and it's the one where like they're doing the news team and they're going back and forth between the news people, and it's more comedic. They're doing like these commercials, but they're live, So some of it's actually kind of funny. It's not like the humor doesn't land. It does sometimes, but it's just the fact that, like I said, Ninjago really isn't comedic at its heart. So making an episode that is essentially completely comedic, with a little bit of plot thrown in there, it just didn't work for me. It's not bad. It's just not to the standard that I wanted. But I'm glad that Ninjago was doing that with the anime, the new animation, the new writers. They're taking a kind of a risk. Something that, Ryan Johnson did, or, J.A. Bayona did with Fallen Kingdom, and they all got screwed over and hated for it because it's different to what we imagine. And having something that's different than what we had before is good, but it can also be bad. And I think the Fire Chapter, again, to wrap that up, it's got great action, great animation, all that stuff, but there's that one episode with the news team, it's just completely out of nowhere, it's out of left field, it's just funny for no reason, it just doesn't make sense. And it's not horrible, it's just different. Now moving on to the Ice Chapter, if you were disappointed by the Fire Chapter and you're like, oh, this is a bit too comedic or too lighthearted, it's not kiddie. I do want to make it clear, the Fire Chapter is not for toddlers, right? It's still the same Ninjago just a little more funny. The Ice Chapter really much it's back to old Ninjago, There's, the fact that Zane is the Ice Emperor and he effing murdered people, Crag, the freaking abominable snowman dude, he's in there, the Yeti, you got Akita and her brother that I can't remember the name of, she's a great character, he's a good character, you kind of have these different plot points where Lloyd is kind of branching off from Nia, Jay, and Kai, and Cole, and there's a bunch of different, with every good Ninjago season, there's a character arc that kind of wraps itself around. But with the Ice Chapter, there's a lot of different character arcs, right? You have one where Kai loses his fire in the Fire Chapter by Asphyr, and he's kind of struggling, how do I help? How do I do things? Nia, she's a water ninja. They're in the frickin' Iceland. They're in the Never Realm, with an N, Never Realm. And it's kind of funny that, Nia is also kind of like Kai, like, it's effing ice. I can't control ice, I'm a water ninja. And of course, the one girl, Carla, whatever, she's like, no, it is a different element, but if you really concentrate, you can do it. And I heard a lot of complaints that Nia's kind of control the ice character arc doesn't do anything, it's completely pointless. And that's not true. Yes, when she does ultimately control these icicles, it does stop the dragon, but Borea, I think. But, you know, the dragon effing comes out, and people all over the internet are like, oh, he's stupid. Look, the fact that the dragon came out of the ice does not mean that character arc was garbage. Nia, since season probably 5 or even before that, she's always struggled with failure. Like Luke Skywalker in the original and sequel trilogy, if she can't see the way out, she gives up, she gets mad, right? And the fact that she feels so hopeless, she's getting mad. And right when she thinks she does it, the dragon breaks out. And that's not a bad character. It's not like it ruins the arc, because what happens after that? Kai gets pissed, and he says no more, and he freaking destroys the dragon with his fire. His fire came back. Really powerful. So really, Nia is kind of like the vessel or the crux, not the character, the shoulder crux, that Kai needed. You know, so really, Nia helped Kai, and Kai helped Nia. Cole also has a character arc where he's kind of struggling as well. He's always beating himself up. He's like, oh man, stupid Cole. You know, I'm always messing up. You know, that kind of thing. And it's interesting. You know, a lot of these ninja are really kind of going with these arcs of failure and kind of like The Last Jedi. You know what I mean? How do we overcome that? And I think the Frost chapter, or the Ice chapter, does that really well. Action, better than the Fire chapter. And I liked it in Fire. Animation, I think they honed it a little better. The writing, leagues better. It's not as jokey, not as funny, not as crazy random. There is an episode where the Samurai X Pixel fights the Preeminent, and a lot of people freaked out too. They're like, oh, that doesn't make sense. It makes perfect sense. You open the freaking the Departed Realm, it came out, all right? And it was kind of a neat little, you know, throwback to monster movies, kind of like the Lego Ninjago movie, these monster-type films. And it works within canon. It's fun. And I think that the Ice chapter, in terms of filler, there really was no filler. There was that episode where the Ultraviolet and all these, the mechanic and Fuji Dove, which, whatever, he's okay. They kind of escape Cryptarium, and they're walking through the sewers, and they're discussing, you know, all these ninja things. And then, of course, they escape. And then Pixel catches them and chucks them back in the prison. So, again, people go, oh, they got thrown back in prison. The character arc, you know, the episode was filler. It meant nothing. And, again, it's not the point that Pixel caught them and threw them back in the prison. It's the fact that they were talking about the ninja. And that's really cool. Because we're actually, for the first time, seeing how these crooks, gangsters, and villains see the good guys. You know, the bad guys don't think of themselves as the bad guys. They think of themselves as the good guys. And they're like, oh, the ninja keeps screwing up my plans, and they keep doing this and that and the third. And it just, you know, it really, it's a nice thing, you know. And the fact that really they get thrown back into jail doesn't mean that episode was useless, because, again, that's showing that Pixel is doing a good job without the ninja. So it's really two things. Pixel's doing good without him, and the villains get to kind of share their stories, and that then tells the audience that they think of the ninja not just as the goody two-shoes. You know, it's not just good because they're good and bad because they're bad. They have motivations and you know, reasons to believe that, and that's pretty freaking cool. And of course, the Ice chapter ends off with an awesome moment. You know, Zane realizes who he is, and they escape, and they go back to Ninjago. Overall, Season 11, Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu, the Fire and Ice chapter is not perfect. It's a little better than Season 7. That's how I rate it. It's not horrible. It's not fantastic. I think it's just very good. It's definitely not the highest caliber we've seen, but it's not the lowest of the low complete garbage that I've heard on the internet. So again, I really enjoyed it. You know, it's not perfect, but I enjoyed it for what it was. And I cannot wait to start watching Season 12, Prime Empire. So moving on to Ninjago 2022 real quick, the reason why I brought that up is because apparently on Twitter, I can't find this anywhere. If you can find it, link it in the description. It really helped me out. But I don't know who said it, but apparently Ninjago Season 16, I think, in 2022 is going to be more, they got new writers, again, and it's going to be more funny, more comedic, right? Tom Andreasen tweeted, and he's like, oh, I read the script. It's the funniest script ever. And that has me really, really worried. Because ever since Season 11, you know, it got less dark. And again, Ninjago doesn't need to be PG-13, dark and violent and brooding, right? But it's also not supposed to be really jokey, funny, stupid kitty poo-poo humor. You know, there really needs to be a balance. Season 1 to, I would say, 7 is that balance. A little bit of humor, a lot of action. It's good. 8 through 10, the Oni and Dragon trilogy, is the darkest thing from the season yet. There's barely any humor. There's a lot of intensity, a lot of action. It's very mature, right? And then Season 11 went back a little bit more to the, you know, Season 1 to 7, where it's a little more funny with the action. And I think that the humor in Season 11, that in my opinion, again, I have not seen 12, 13, 14, 15 yet. I'll be doing that soon. But, it's a good balance. And I think that if they try to make things too dark, like darker than the Oni and Dragon trilogy, it won't feel like Ninjago. And if they make it too funny, then the older fans, the adults and the teens, because let's be honest, more adults and teens watch this than kids. That's pretty obvious at this point. Half the kids don't even understand this stuff. Half my adult friends don't understand this shite. I gotta tell them, you know what I mean? Like, they're like, who's that? I'm like, oh, it's this because that and season that, episode that, and they're like, wow, you're crazy, you know? But there needs to be a balance between that. And I think that if 2022 Ninjago does go in a very comedic, funny route, I don't know, man. I don't know if it'll still be good, I'd imagine. Because, even the worst thing in Ninjago Day That Departed, Season 7, they're not bad. They're just not as good as the others. And I think that if you really turn this show into a very comedy, kind of like Teen Titans Go, Teen Titans, the original, was like Ninjago. Teen Titans Go is just jokes. And I love Teen Titans Go. I love it. I think it's a great show for all ages. I'm not hating it. I effing love Teen Titans Go. But it is, at its heart, a comedy. So if you turn Ninjago into this extremely dark thing, like even darker than Oni and Dragon, it'll be weird. And vice versa, if you make this show extremely funny and silly and campy and dumb and weird, then you're really just saying F you to the fans and just let's invite the toddlers, you know what I mean? Because Ninjago, like I said, you can have a kid watch it, that's fine, but I personally would say 11 or 12 up. It is definitely not a show for kids, little kids. I'd say older kids, teens, adults up. And if they start going, oh, everything's funny and humorous and jokey, it just won't feel the same. It'll be really weird, you know what I mean? So I think Ninjago is doing good right now. I think it was a little bit of a rocky start with Season 11, but from what I can tell, again, I'm going to be starting watching Prime Empire soon, but, from what I can tell, it'll be a very good future, I think. And I can't freaking wait for it. And, I'm kind of worried about it. But, I think they'll do a good job. Tell me in the comments what you think. And, don't spoil anything for Season 12 through 15. I already know what happens in Season 15 with Nia. I already freaking know because I had to watch it. But, recently I found a way to watch them. And I'm like, hey, this is pretty good, And, it's not as good as 1 through 10, but that doesn't mean it's bad. And I think that hopefully 2022, with this really comedic touch, I hope they don't lose the essence of what the show is. Because, again, Ninjago and its core is like the MCU. A lot of intensity, a lot of action, and a little bit of humor. And the humor is not just to make the kids laugh, it's just to make everyone laugh. It's universal humor. But if they do make it like Teen Titans Go, for example, and again, I like that show, but if they make it jokey funny, I don't know. It might be kind of strange. But anyway, I'm looking forward to the future, and maybe I'll cover Season 12 and I review that. Again, what do you think about Secrets of the Forbidden Spinjitzu? Did you enjoy it? What'd you like better, the Fire chapter or the Ice chapter? I would have to say the Ice chapter. I liked Fire, but Ice really stepped it up. That was really freaking good. I really enjoyed it. So again, 2022 has me worried, but I think we'll be okay. Hopefully it won't be too funny. And Ninjago, I think right now, it's at a good place. And it's a great franchise. Thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.